Brodes Media.
The Sixers show no heart, none at all, in a possible closeout game on your home floor after winning the first 3 games. That's what you give us? That's the energy that you go out there with? It's pretty disappointing, and I'm very furious with a lot of people. Joel Embiid's defense was an issue, and I get it. His thumb is going to cause him pain, and it's going to be a lot to deal with. But you're out there, and I can't witness such a putrid level of defense. You got to find a way to maximize what you could bring to the table, even with that flaw. And if this is what it is, oh damn, the Sixers are in some big time trouble. There's no doubt about it. James Harden was absolutely atrocious. 11 field goals. In what universe is James Harden taking 11 field goals? And I thought that there were plenty of opportunities where he actually drove the lane and he got into a spot where maybe I could see him taking a floater or just kissing it off the glass. And instead, he's kicking it out sort of like at times when we used to see Ben Simmons do it. Is that a hamstring issue? Is it a lack of confidence issue? Is it a combination of both? I don't know, but if James Harden is going to give you 11 field goals when Joel Embiid is playing with one hand, well, then this team is going to be a disaster. It's not rocket science here. When we talked about Game 1, Maxey exploded. James Harden was facilitating greatly. Embiid did what he needed to do when Toronto threw certain looks his way. He was finding ways to get other teammates going, in the game, and that was a tremendous style for those outings. My point is, when they were winning games, look at how everyone played. When they stink, all of them. Maxey seems to be getting exposed a bit. He's 21. I'm not putting the world on his shoulders, but I think over time, over this series, Nick Nurse has figured out a way to kind of limit his explosiveness. And you're seeing the repercussions of that, which is someone that you can't rely on as much as we would need to. And I hate to say this from a Fred VanVleet perspective, but I'll tell you what, him not playing benefited them. It's kind of a weird game, isn't it? When Fred VanVleet is out there, who is a good scorer, a good player, a really solid structure around your squad, the Raptors definitely look to have better matchups with him off the floor when it comes to mismatches and attacking. It's just kind of interesting how that goes, considering he's one of their top players. But you could see a totally different Raptor squad and a totally different angle of playing the Sixers when that is the case. And I'm fascinated how the Fred VanVleet storyline is going to play out for the next... Do I say next couple of games? Oh, that's so painful. I've been pretty vocal. Sixers are going to clear this thing and win this thing in 5 games. And they didn't, and I'm extremely pissed off about it. But I do want to throw this out there as well. When the Raptors were down 3-0, what was everybody saying? They're dead in the water. There's no way in hell they're going to win. No one's ever come back down 3-0 before. In what universe are they going to win this series, right? And now the table has flipped completely, and there's so much pressure on the Sixers to win an away game in Toronto in a very hostile environment. Everyone on the Sixers side seems to be clinching a bit because they're upset and nervous about what's going to happen on Thursday night, which, by the way, ruined my NFL draft experience. Now you got a Sixers game going the same exact day Howie Roseman's going to be making some moves and trying to get creative and fancy, even though that's probably going to be annoying too, and we're going to be blown away with whatever the hell they elect to do, because let's be realistic, the draft is not their strong suit. But I digress, as we're going to have 2 very emotional things going on at once. See how quickly things changed? It can revert the other way just as quickly, too. That's all I'm saying. And that's why even before the series began, there's so much being talked about game by game where I think everything gets exaggerated. Now, after 3 games, I definitely exaggerated to the point where I said the Sixers are a lock, and now here we are questioning if that's the case or not. But you're seeing 2 different styles of the team play, and it seems like they don't know how to close out. And that is a Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Doc Rivers problem. It's so wild to think about the Doc Rivers experience. Here's a coach that can consistently get you 3-1 series leads. He can get get you up 3-2 in a series. And from a plain surface level, if I told you your coach will get you up 3-2, he'll get you in an atmosphere where you win the first 3 games of a series, you will take that every single day of the week. But it's obvious that whenever it's go mode and it's time to snap the neck of your opponent, they just lose that will. That goes on the coach when it's such a big sample size of Doc, but I'm also really disgusted in the players because it's not Doc's job to have someone who's paid $30-40 million a year. These athletes should know you're on your home floor. The fans, I feel so bad for the fans that spent their hard-earned money to go to that game thinking it was going to be finished, because even though they booed respectfully and rightfully at halftime because you're seeing a 10-point lead, a 13-point lead, the Raptors just consistently scoring points in the paint. Look, the second quarter was atrocious. They couldn't score at all. I mean, I'm watching 8-minute spans of nothing. I'm watching 5-minute spans. I mean, there was like maybe 3 total minutes of that second frame where it looked better than the rest. But what am I talking about? 3 minutes of 12? A 12-minute quarter? There's 3 minutes that wasn't as much of a disaster as the other 9? It was terrible. It was awful. And when you look at their defense, too, look, they're not a team that's built off of defense. They're a team that when their offensive efficiency is rolling as best as it possibly can, that's why they're as talented as they are. That's the most difficult point when you're a defending team, is that Sixers offense. When it's clicking in the half court, it's beautiful. When they're finding good looks and knocking them down, it's awesome. But that wasn't the case here. You weren't really finding great looks. Realistically, your offense felt like it was either James Harden giving up on a play and kicking it out like Ben Simmons would at times, or Danny Green ripping a lot of threes. And I'm not mad at Danny because there was somewhat desperation. And sure, some of them were open towards the end, but he made 4 threes. He took a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming Danny for that, though. That's the substance as a whole as an offense. But I'll tell you what, the difference between what I saw in the first 3 games and what I'm seeing now is your stars were playing significantly better. And that doesn't downplay what the Raptors do, because the Raptors are an athletic team. They muck it up a bit. They grind it up. They make you uncomfortable. They work hard. But you look at that points in the paint, they had an operation there of, targeting, it seems, what was a piss-poor defensive Joel Embiid and keep taking it to the rack. And if you're going to play scared with the thumb, and I'm not telling you that he is superhuman. No, I mean, he has a thumb problem, and that's going to cause you some pain. But you're going to have to do something different, because the effort that we got out of Embiid when it comes to overall dominance, we need another step, and we need a big-time step from James Harden. Now, I don't know what you're going to get out of Max. He seems like now that he's been playing in this series, the toughness, the physicality, the size, the length, there's not as much to take advantage of. Nick Nurse somewhat kind of limited that to the best of his ability, and it seems like Maxey's kind of overwhelmed at the moment, which makes a lot of sense considering the kid is 21 years old, but that's the difference in what we saw in the first 3 games and where we're at now. Here's what I won't fall into. The trap of, well, really, Brodes, it's 1 shot away from being 3-2 the other way if overtime doesn't happen. Yeah, but now you're diminishing what superstar talent does, right? I mean, do we ever watch Kobe Bryant highlights and go, well, that series could have been 2-1 the other way, but it went 2-1 Lakers because of Kobe. And we're going to just say, well, Kobe took the shot, but it was that close to going the other way. No, when you play in playoff series, the difference in winning or losing a game comes down to your superstar delivering a big shot or not. So I'm not going to claim that, whoa, I'm going to downplay how awesome Joel Embiid's shot was because now it's 3-2 and it's closer. Absolutely not. When you get to the second round, the third round in the Eastern Conference Finals, when you get to the nitty-gritty of a deep series of 2 really strong opponents and 2 really strong teams, that's what it comes down to at time. An overtime shot. Did you step up and put your balls on the table or not? So I'm not going to pretend like I'm supposed to now ridicule that and make it seem like that's not impressive. It's impressive. When a star makes a big shot with 0.2 seconds left on the clock to steal a game on the road, those are the little details, and it's not little, they're big details, but those are important shots. Extremely valuable games and closeout moments. That's the difference in being a star or not. So I'm sorry. I don't look at it that way because now you're diminishing what a star did. And that's what the name of the NBA playoffs are all about. It's the name of the game. It's big-time moments, big-time shots, big-time players. And that's the difference in series all the time in the postseason. Now, we have a $5 donation coming in from Radiation. Do you think that there is something to James not trying at all to get his preferred coach? No. I think that's absolutely reaching. I saw that someone on the national media, or whatever it was, First Take, I don't know if it was the Kendrick Perkins of the world. It was one of those guys said something about trying to get D'Antoni here and all that. Absolutely not. James Harden is a shell of himself right now. And, I mean, he's not the 30, he's still not trash. Like, he's not an absolute trash player, but we hold him to such a high standard considering how he would average 30 plus for multiple years in a row and will you to victory and dominate. He's not that anymore. I don't need him to be that through 7-game series, but when nights like game 5 happen, I need it once in a while. I'm not demanding every night. That would be foolish. He's not that player, but can we get it once in a while? Can we get it once in a blue moon? Can we get it a little bit more than we are now? It's like his IQ. We always stress the IQ. The IQ of the game is absolutely there from a facilitating standpoint. But where we're lacking and where we're missing here is how can my game now scoring-wise change based off of where I'm at in my career? So he changed the way that he runs the offense, which is extremely important, and I think has gone a long way with how this team is ran. And when the team, like I talked about, their offensive efficiency when clicking is a scary weapon. And other teams fear that. When it gets stagnant and gets slow and when the ball is moving around, but then he's afraid to shoot it and puts the ball on the floor and then drains the shot clock because he's dribbling in between his legs and then he takes a step back and he misses. I mean, he's shooting like 38% from the field this series when we're talking about 2-pointers. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.